The energy situation in Europe, and so also in Poland, has meant an increasing emphasis on the development of renewable energy. Today, biogas plants and large photovoltaic farms, as well as hydroelectric power plants, are not only a priority but a need. The idea of establishing energy cooperatives certainly seems to be one way of dealing with the energy crisis. According to the renewable energy legislation, the goal of an energy cooperative is to produce electricity or biogas or heat from renewable energy exclusively to meet the needs of the energy cooperative and those of its members.
Idea spółdzielczości powstała z pewnej
The
konieczności.
idea of an energy cooperative grew out of a certain necessity. Many years ago, almost 10 years ago, we started to decentralize energy sources and promoting them to our residents. The beginnings were very difficult. There were not many takers and many other options. But after a while, more and more of these renewable installations started to get built. In fact, most of them benefited from external funding. We have now reached a stage where we have an overproduction from renewables, mainly electricity in the peak period, and not enough auto-consumption. And these two aspects have sort of overlapped. One, just the need to better organize the distribution and consumption of energy at the local level. And two, the appearance of ideas of energy clusters, energy cooperatives, which for the time being still appear to be more theory than practice. And these collaborative forms of energy prosumption is what we have started to implement, so to speak. We are trying to find out what it might mean in reality. Many meetings, many activities, also at the ministerial and regulatory level, have brought us to the concept of organizing production and consumption of energy at the local level.
Ale również i cieplnej.
To establish an energy cooperative, it is necessary to gather the minimum number of members necessary to form the cooperative. That's 10 individual persons is the minimum, and 3 in the case of legal persons. The next step is to elect representatives of the cooperative, the General Assembly, Supervisory Board, Management Board, and register the cooperative with the National Court Register. Registration involves preparing the statutes of the cooperative, which provide the basis for cooperative operations and define the rights and obligations of members. We have been preparing the statutes and all the associated documentation as a basis for securing external funding for our energy cooperative. We are getting closer and closer to getting approval and registration in the National Court Register. There's really not very much more to do on the formal side. We will certainly consider building a photovoltaic farm of some kind, but for me the main focus is on the construction of another biogas plant. At the moment we have one that's 2 megawatts, but the demand in Michałowo is for around 4.5 megawatts. This means we still need 3 more megawatts, so there's a need to build another biogas plant.
Wiąże nadzieję.
Dealing with energy problems at the level of the municipality is a huge challenge for local authorities. Much depends on the commitment and energy of the people who must sometimes take difficult and even risky decisions. In Podlasie, people know how to make calculations. They anticipate concrete financial benefits from establishing energy cooperatives.
W ustawie o spółdzielczości energetycznej
There are provisions in the law on energy cooperatives that discount certain fees related to the distribution and transmission of energy. I'm talking about the transmission fee and excise duty. These regulations translate directly into benefits for cooperative members. Another argument for energy cooperative is that for dealing with problems during peak periods when there is overproduction of energy. This is when installations, due to an increase in voltage, are automatically switched off. So despite favourable conditions, energy is simply not produced. If we organise production and consumption better at the local level through energy cooperatives, then there's a chance that the effectiveness of our installations would be much higher.
jest szansa, że skuteczność i sprawność naszych urządzeń, które posiadamy, byłaby wyższa.
An energy cooperative can only be established in a rural or urban-rural municipality and cover an area of not more than 3 adjacent municipalities. The number of members should be less than 1,000. Renewable energy is where we have to invest. It's the direction the whole of Europe and the world is going. There's no turning back from that now. We as a municipality always try to be first. That makes things easier for us. The fear of significant energy increases motivates people to respond to challenges in new ways. This means new installations, and possibly new ways of allocating production, distribution and consumption of energy. We don't need to convince people anymore. On the basis of their own bills and forecasts, people know that energy prices are going to continue to increase. So any measures that will reduce the burden on them are important, and people are ready to engage. Establishing energy cooperatives requires leaders, people who can formulate arguments, persuade unbelievers, and even encourage them to share in the risks. Innovative solutions require courage, but as a Polish proverb tells us, whoever is first gains most. With an energy cooperative, we will have the opportunity to secure funding, whether for installations or for solutions related to the internal accounting. We are counting on this. This is why we have already taken the formal steps to set up our cooperative. We're taking further ones, but this will take time, as there are many requirements to be fulfilled. Energy cooperatives are about increasing the energy security of a region, improving the competitiveness and investment attractiveness of rural areas becoming more independent of external energy suppliers, creating jobs and creating new services at the local level, improving environmental quality and improving the quality of life, including the financial situation of farmers and their families.
Spółdzielnie ruszą, co do tego wątpliwości nie ma.
Energy cooperatives will certainly take off. There is no doubt about this. There'll come a point when people realize that it simply pays. We are in a poor region. We are talking about Podlasia. In terms of GDP, it's an area that's at the tail end of our country. Thanks to Bulgaria and Romania joining the European Union, we have managed to jump out of the grey end of the European Union. But not so long ago, we were the poorest part of the European Union. Imagine now that such a poor region has to spend several billions of zlotys each year on the purchase of energy externally. That's the reality. Not so long ago we calculated how much Podlasia spent. It came to about 5 to 6 billion zlotys each year, but that was in the sweet days when petrol cost only 4 zlotys. At the moment, we have to deal with completely different values. The need to save money will simply appeal to people. It's probably the only way to move forward. The energy cooperative ideology is very attractive. I'm sure it will get a few dozen people warmed up. Maybe there'll be some others who will be motivated by trying to protect the climate. But the majority of people will be motivated by the savings that they can achieve by participating in an energy cooperative. That's how we'll achieve scale-up. This is what happened with individual prosumers. My only fear now is that the market will be spoilt by too many subsidies, which will be thrown on ground that's unprepared. This will lead to lots of waste. The key are the first energy cooperatives. If the first ones succeed, the next ones will simply follow. It's certainly better to have control over your energy. It will also be certainly cheaper than what we are experiencing these days, which is buying more and more expensive electricity. I'm talking also about business at the moment, because individual consumers are under some kind of government protection. Business, on the other hand, is going to have a very difficult time when it comes to the rising cost of energy carriers. Let's remember that energy cooperatives are not just about electricity, they're also about heat. The law allows energy cooperatives to be formed around heat from renewable energy sources. If we look at what's happening in the heating market, the prices are rising rapidly. Generating heat from local energy sources simply makes sense and will bring a lot of savings.
Dużo oszczędności. To może być naprawdę bardzo poważnym argumentem za.